Hello, everyone. This is Jacob Popio, the producer of The Apex. In this episode, RJ and I sit down and give our own take on the Spartans of Kindness blog post. The blog post, Things We Take for Granted, was written by Mr. Jon Deitz. If you want to read other blog posts by Jon, and other writers, visit www.theapexpodcast.com/blog. If you want to support us, there are two ways to do so. One is to donate to the cause at www.patreon.com/theapexpodcast. The other is completely free. All we ask is if you learn something in this episode or know someone that needs to hear our message, share it with them. Please subscribe and hope this pushes you toward your apex. Well, hello. Oh gosh, I already messed it up. I'm Jacob Popio, and I'm sitting across from...
Jon?
No.
Oh, what? It's me and Jacob.
Yeah, I'm sitting across from Goliath.
No, we're back, but not with our usual duo. It's me, RJ. How is everybody? I hope everybody's doing well. Jon is out of country.
Yeah, he's playing around in Italy or whatever. Yeah,
definitely not work related.
Yeah,
that's for
sending
sure.
us pictures of him in a scarf.
Yeah, making us feel bad.
Yeah, like making me jealous. Sending me pictures of him in my favorite restaurant.
Well, if you guys haven't noticed already, we are doing something special on this podcast.
Yeah, we're gonna start reviewing the blog posts that...
More.
Yeah.
We had the bright idea that if we're having people, special guests, write blog posts for us, or if Jan's continuing to write blog posts, that we should have somebody other than the person that's writing it review it. So we've been dabbling with the idea, and if you guys like this idea, I myself might start writing blog posts. Jacob might start writing blog posts, then the corresponding other two will be the ones to review it and kind of give some criticism and what we think about it. We didn't want to do one of Jan's this week, but we wanted to pay homage to one of our previous guests, Jon Deitz. He came in and talked to us early January?
January 16th.
He came in and we did a really great conversation with him. And as we alluded to on there, he was going to be writing some blog posts for us. So I thought it would be a really good idea if we went back and looked and started looking at his first blog post for us through, I think he ended up doing 5 or 6 of them for us, right?
Yeah. He's been just pinning them all down.
We're gonna start with this one and then move through the rest of his and see how his writing progresses and give our thoughts on and takes on what he goes over in all of his. Yeah. And then we hope that you guys listen in and either, form your own opinions or like the opinions that we come up with, and, they stick to you guys and you take them into your everyday life.
It will be nice to kind of give our own interpretation or view it through our own lens instead of just being like a bias type, I wrote it and now this is how I envision it.
This is how it's supposed to be. Everybody interprets things differently, and it's not a bad idea to listen to other people's opinions, because it's much as we like to think that we have open minds and we're able to see things in other lights, it's very hard. It's very hard to.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody gets in their own brain and kind of, it's very easy to see things one way or how you've always seen it.
Well, your worldview is constantly different depending on upbringing, when you grew up, how old you are,
life experiences, everything like that. So, these opinions and stuff that we're going to be talking about is all our own. Obviously, Jon, with any of our blog posts, the person that's writing it, Jon or Jan, they have their own opinions going into it and the reasons that they wrote for it. We're not saying one's right. We're not saying one's wrong, but we just want to share our opinions with you guys, and we hope you enjoy it.
Yep. So this first one is called Spartans of Kindness. That's like the main...
That's his slogan.
Blog post slogan or division that he is going to be writing under. It's like going to be like an umbrella of that outreach of going out and being kind to others. That's my takeaway of it. The title is "Things That We Take for Granted" by Jon Deitz. It was uploaded on February 6, 2019. So I'll just read through it.
Yeah, we're gonna do one full read, if you guys listen to the last blog review that me and Jan did, we're going to do one full read through it all, and then we're going to go back line by line and talk about things that we think were important and whatnot.
Yeah.
So this, if you guys haven't read it yet, you can read along with Jake here now as he goes all the way
Yeah,
through it.
it will be fun because RJ and I are like the illiterate ones of the bunch.
I can read, I just don't read well.
Yeah. I read
It's very choppy.
Yeah, I think I'm partially dyslexic and I'm very ADD.
It sounds a lot better in my head.
Yeah. And then I read out loud and I'm like, ooh, is it really that choppy? But okay, so let's start out. Someone is praying today for something we take for granted. Recently, my daughter attended a doctor's appointment with her boyfriend to his audiologist. It seems hearing aids have now become high-tech to the point of using Bluetooth. Astonished by the technology, clarity, and minimal invasive size, she called me to tell me how cool it was and how happy he is with the new ability to hear clearly. A gift of clear hearing that I and so many of us have taken or take for granted each and every day. A dear friend of mine in Colorado lost his right arm many years ago in a construction accident where he was electrocuted after his priest had given him the last rites. Somehow, miraculously, he pulled through and lived incredibly rewarding and positive life ever since. I have spent time with him in the mountains on a few occasions, each time coming back more and more amazed at how he has overcome his challenge, or so it would seem to me. It has been uncomfortable watching him attempt to zip his jacket, shift the gears in his manual transmission truck, and simply carry a gun. He reconfigured his motorcycle so he could ride with his hook. He camps and is an avid fisherman and has held a lucrative job for many years. He does it without complaint or woe is me, but I can't help but wonder how much simpler his life would be if he just had another hand or an arm, just like me. So count your blessings. Name them one by one. Remember every day how blessed we are for what the Lord has done. Look upon those less fortunate with sense of empathy or pride for how those less fortunate make it through each day with a limp they cannot hide. My limps are camouflaged, so most cannot see. So next time you tie your shoes, zip up your coat, or listen to the sweet harmony of the birds up in the trees, just remember, someone is praying each day for something you and I take for granted. It's pretty
That was
deep.
way better than I would have screwed all that. I was reading along in my head and I made way more mistakes.
Oh,
than you
really?
did.
I felt choppy.
No, it was good.
I need to work on my cadence a little bit.
That's the crazy thing. I'm getting a little off topic per usual, but even when talking here, you get that weird sense of public speaking.
Oh, yeah.
No one's in here but me and you, but just the thought that knowing that other people will be listening to it, you're like,
Your palms get a little bit sweaty.
Oh, my back is drenched.
Yeah. Yep.
But no, that was really good. So now we'll go back through it and kind of pick some parts. I guess right off the bat, and did anything stand out from you just as an overall all message from it?
Well, I was listening to the Howard Stern show like a few weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
They had Def Leppard on, and the drummer has one arm.
Plane crash, right?
It wasn't a plane crash. I think it was like a Ferrari crash. He got ejected through his sunroof, and the seatbelt cut his arm clean off, and it was just by like happenstance. There was like a nurse behind him, like driving behind him, and she pulled over and was able to like tie a tourniquet or whatever, and was able to take him back to the hospital. That nurse met the doctor that like saved his life, and they like got married and everything. It's like a really weird love story. But
see, I knew about that well, kind of
Yeah.
happening, but that's crazy that
Well,
it bleeds even further into, other people's
hmm
lives.
well, I guess he was super messed up, and
How
like,
could you not be?
they said that he would be in the hospital for like 6 months or
Hmm.
whatever, and I think he was only in there for like a month, and they were like, you like recovered miraculously,
Hmm.
and he was feeling really down on himself, but he said that he picked himself back up and he just started. He went because he got like a custom like drum pedal
Hmm.
made, and he went like 10 days after he got released from the hospital, and he started just messing around, and he was like, you know what, I can do this.
Still with one arm.
Yeah, and he said that sometimes he'll like look back and be like, oh, I wonder how good I could be, but he said, I wouldn't be the drummer who I am today
If that
if he
never
had
happened.
2 arms.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's true.
I guess sometimes you take it for granted,
Hmm.
and like if you're like blessed with talents that are just there naturally, sometimes people coast. But I
Hmm.
feel like if you have something to climb or
An
overcome,
obstacle.
you almost push yourself more. So if you're like at a disadvantage,
Hmm.
it's like that whole Rocky Balboa
Yeah, the
mindset.
underdog mindset.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and I think
absolutely.
America loves that.
Oh, America loves an underdog. What are you
Oh,
talking
yeah,
about?
that, like-
Everybody likes an underdog story. I mean, I think a lot of that has to do with the person who's not the underdog is usually portrayed as an asshole.
Oh yeah, well,
Nobody wants them to win in the first place.
it goes back to like that natural talent. Like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm cocky. I
Yeah.
don't have to put that work
Not
in.
not every naturally talented person is
No.
like that, but it's definitely easier to like the one that had to struggle on his way
Yeah.
to the top. 100%. And I guess my just blank take over the whole thing is it's it's easy to take things for
Oh
granted.
yeah, for sure.
And I like the way that he delves deeper into like the small things that you
Mhm.
don't even think about. I mean, I don't know if most of our viewership or listenership knows this, but you are a diabetic.
Yeah.
And my family is full of diabetics, and
Mhm.
luckily, blessed is me that I haven't down my direct line of family, like my mom,
Yeah,
my
yeah.
dad, my sister, and anything like that. We're not pre-diabetic or anything that I know of, at least if they're telling me the truth.
Yeah, yeah.
But even with small stuff like that, I mean,
Mhm.
we've went out to eat before and stuff like that. Just the tedious little stuff that
Oh, yeah.
you don't realize, like, you have a whole organ that is taking care of this for you
Mhm.
that you don't even have to think about.
You're just lacking one protein,
Yeah.
one little molecule.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
seeped out of the beta cells in your pancreas.
Yep.
And what's weird is I was dealt that curse, and my brother was too. No family history, no nothing.
Really? Oh, I did
Yeah.
not know that.
Yeah, I was 12 and my brother was 15.
What does that make you? Type 1, type 2?
Type 1.
Type
Yep.
1.
Mm-hmm.
So type 1, you're born with it. Type 2, you develop it, or it's not that simple.
It's not that simple. It's type 1's an autoimmune disease.
Mhm.
So it's basically that your immune system gets bored for whatever reason, and it's like, hey, let's F up these cells. So it just goes and attacks the cells. So that, like, if you have hypothyroidism, your immune system attacks your T3, T4 cells that release the thyroid hormone. Or something like that. I would have to.
Close enough.
Yeah, I would have to review.
Our general basis. That's good.
Yeah,
That's good enough
review
for
my endocrine chapter, but yeah, just the minute things that like everybody takes for granted. Even like just like waking up and feeling the sun on your face, like the spring has sprung finally.
yeah,
And-
finally.
And like just
Knock on
like
wood.
that first day where it's like it's humid out just
Mhm.
a little bit, and like your joints feel a little bit better,
Yeah.
and you can just feel the warmth of the sun on your face.
See, I hate that.
I love that.
I'd rather be in cold places.
Really?
Well, I sweat to death, man.
Yeah.
I run my air conditioning in my car in the winter.
Well, we're not all gorillas like
yeah,
you.
this is true. But let's see here. There was one part in the beginning that I wanted to go and look at. Basically within the first couple paragraphs that he wrote here, where it's like, astonished by the technology, clarity, and minimal invasive size, she called
Yeah.
to tell me how cool it was and how happy he was with the new ability to hear clearly. So I guess when it comes to mind when I read that and whatnot, it's very easy not to realize that stuff until it happens to you or it happens to someone close to you.
Hmm.
Um, and I urge everybody just to, to keep yourself level, to appreciate the things around you, pay attention to other people's plights.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody makes it sound really bad, like,
Hmm.
oh, it takes stuff for granted, but we all do it.
Yeah.
And it's something that's easily done, that's done subconsciously. Nobody who takes something for granted wakes up every morning, thinks about it, and was like, oh, well, that's great. I got it. You don't. Blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah, blah. You just do it. And nobody should be faulted for that because
Yeah.
obviously it's something chemical or organic to us that we, if it's, what's the saying? If out of sight, out of mind,
Yeah.
basically.
Hmm.
You're not going to think about it in that way unless, it hits you like that. But I think if you keep an open mind and look at the other struggles that people
Hmm.
have, it really gives you a better like a better grounded feeling with the people that you surround yourself every day.
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
with those, I mean, obviously there's varying degrees of this, from not being able to hear or being a diabetic or
Yeah.
losing a
Yeah. Yeah.
whole arm like John talked about, but there's smaller stuff that you can relate to people more and more about, and keep yourself grounded,
Hmm.
that aren't on such like a vast scale that people just glaze over.
I think like in those first couple lines too, it like mentions how high tech, like I think even through all the struggles that people go through,
Mm-hmm.
it's amazing what human innovation and technology has been able to do for so many people.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like we've been able to work miracles for people,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Absolutely.
like insulin pumps.
Mm-hmm.
That's inconspicuous, you know, just like a plethora of various things that I think that's wonderful. I don't think engineers in our culture are given like the same like respect as like a medical doctor does,
Mm-hmm.
because they're always in the background
Yeah,
designing all these intricate parts.
to make our lives easier.
Oh yeah.
I mean, basically, everybody who's listening to this now is either on a computer and a phone, and that's one of
Hmm.
the things we take granted for most of on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Um, let's see here. What's that I want to look
And that's something that you should be thankful
at? Oh
for.
yeah, absolutely.
All of that technology, all that innovation.
So much knowledge just at the tip of your
Oh
fingers.
yeah. Well, that drive to want to better yourself and to better others is something that I think is just amazing to watch
Mm-hmm.
in
Oh,
people's eyes.
absolutely. The next part that I like kind of touch base with me when Jake was reading this, is where he goes over the list of things.
Hmm.
And I think that's something really good to do when you do find yourself appreciating something,
Yeah.
or you see someone else struggling. I think it's healthy. I mean, obviously not to the point where you're obsessing and doing it all the time, but I'll have a, slow, sad day or something
Hmm.
like that, or something will happen. I mean, there was just a case at the gym, where a friend of mine, her husband been kind of MIA and whatnot.
Yeah.
Um, and they got in a big argument, obviously, about custody stuff of their daughter. And, I felt for her. I talked to her a little bit after the little altercation and whatnot. And, you know, it felt good to talk to her about it, help her get it off her chest and whatnot. And then the second thing that I took away from there is, I really don't tell my parents how much I love them and appreciate everything that they've done for
Oh
me.
yeah.
And, to hear her fighting for her daughter to get her the best care and to take
Hmm.
care, and even with the underlying circumstances that I know about, that she still wants the girl's father in as a part of her life, is heartwarming.
Yeah.
I mean, for better or for worse, I think that it's good and healthy to have a kid grow up with both parents, even if they're separated.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with a divorce. Obviously, divorce rates are massive.
Yeah, it's almost like 50%, maybe
if
even a little
not
bit more. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's if you have a child with somebody, that's two pieces. That's two pieces of two different people
Yeah.
that have created one, and I think that it's good. And
It,
I mean, I know.
it's like the ultimate like culmination of those two people's love
Mhm.
that like they have or they once had with each
Each other,
other.
yeah. And at some point, it happens.
Yeah.
People grow separate from each other, and that's fine. There's
Yeah,
nothing
people
wrong with that.
change
Yeah,
and
exactly. But I think the parent, like them deciding to both be in some capacity part of
Mhm.
their little one's life, and then that makes me really feel blessed that my parents were together, are together, and will still be together. Hopefully,
yeah.
fingers crossed, for the rest of my
Yeah, yeah,
days.
yeah.
And I think, like how we just said, technology and whatnot. I think a lot of people take the people that are closest to them for granted.
Oh yeah. Well, you
So
look at everybody at like the dinner table anymore.
yeah,
They're all on their phones, buried in Facebook or whatever.
yeah. So back to my original point where he goes through here and he says, zip up his jacket, shift the gears in his car, carry a gun, the fact that he needed to completely customize his motorcycle to
Mhm.
use it and whatnot. It's just, I think going through a little checklist like that when you're conscious of it is a great
Yeah.
exercise. It makes you appreciate things a lot more. It gives you a different perspective. Forces you to think about things that you don't usually think about. So,
Yeah.
like, I don't often, think about like how great it was growing up and having both my parents
Mhm.
take us on vacation and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But you see that situation in front of you, whether it be for good or bad, like
Mhm.
a friend who lost their arm, or a family struggling and whatnot. But help where you can, do what good you can in that situation, and
Yeah.
then take as much away from those situations as you can. I think that's one of the greatest things that you can do.
Mhm.
Sit there, you know, critically go over what your experiences are, think back, and then I went home and told both my parents I loved them very much.
Yeah. Count your
Yeah,
blessings. Yeah.
exactly. That's exactly what he wanted
And
to get across in this.
and it almost like goes and transitions wonderfully or dovetails wonderfully into that next little bit where he says that his friend doesn't do it without
Hmm.
a complaint, woe is me. So like it's almost like to the outsider, man, that must be such a challenge. And
Hmm.
yes, for his friend it probably was such a great challenge when he was starting to adapt and learn how to live with that.
Hmm.
But I feel like a lot of people will reach this point where I can't just sit around and be sorry for myself
Hmm.
anymore. It's time to,
I, I I think that most people hope to get to that
yeah,
point. And if you do, then the real healing begins.
yeah, and I think that that's like a beautiful thing.
Oh no,
Yeah.
absolutely. I mean, I see it a lot in the gym
Hmm.
where people make up excuses and say, "Oh, this is why I can't do this," or "This is what's going on in my life." Blah blah
Yeah,
blah.
yeah.
Blah. Woe is me. Blah 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 blah. The hardest workers that I see are the ones that never talk about anything. I mean, they
Hmm.
talk to people, but they go in there, they get their business done, and they walk out. You don't hear them sitting in
Oh
there,
yeah,
and oh, I mean, I've always felt. I mean, it's not bad to talk about things,
yeah.
um, but anybody who sits there consistently day in and day out, and you hear about the same story over and
Hmm.
over and over again, that's not someone who's really struggling,
No,
in my
no.
opinion.
Well, you create your own dark cloud at that point.
Yeah, and I mean, if you got to break away from it.
Yeah, you have to almost like look at it in the face and
Hmm. Oh, absolutely.
yeah. Well,
Um,
or just even like I think there's been studies that show that like even if people just look at themselves in the mirror, a lot of people just feel super uncomfortable just looking at
looking at themselves.
themselves in the mirror. If you are able to look at yourself in the mirror and look at yourself dead in the eyes and say, "I'm a
This is who I
badass.
am.
This
Yeah.
is who I am.
Hmm.
I'm going to do this today."
Hmm.
That I think that could completely change or start to change that mental shift.
Hmm.
And I don't know. I think a lot of people get caught up on like that woe is me.
Oh, it's easy to.
It's easy.
But then
yeah.
you also have people that enable it.
Yeah.
Who will sit there and be like, "Oh wow, yeah, man, that really
Oh, yeah, yeah.
sucks." Like, "Oh, like man, again, that happened to you again." Like, "Oh, that's terrible." Surround yourself with people who want you to make a difference.
Yeah.
People who are not the people that are sitting there going, "Oh man, I also feel very sorry for you." But the people that look at you and then go, "Okay, but what are you doing about it?
Yeah.
What are you doing
What's
now?"
next?
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, that blows and whatnot. And I like, okay, you reclused for a week, couple days, whatever it is, a month, a year. But now it's like, okay, you've experienced it. It's done. What are we doing now? What are we going to do now?
It's like the whole Batman Begins with who's that actor?
I think that was George Clooney.
No. It's
Oh. No. Yeah.
He's English.
Huh?
Yeah, he's English. He was where are they?
Oh.
I forget.
Was that Batman Begins?
Yeah, what was that actor? I can't remember.
Oh, I know that.
Christian Bale.
He's English.
Yeah, he's English. It blows your mind when you listen to like a interview.
Oh yeah, he is English. I guess
it's like such a thick accent, and like you're like, what? You're Bruce Wayne.
It's
that movie has like one of the best lines in it. It like refers it. Like the line goes back to when he originally falls into like the well, and his dad picks him back up, and he says, "Now, Bruce, why do we fall down?"
So we can get back up.
Yeah, so we can learn how to pick ourselves back up.
Oh.
And then like right after like Ra's al Ghul came and like started to burn like the city and burnt the Bruce Wayne's manor
down?
like Wayne Manor
Yeah.
down, and he's just sitting there with like the pillar on him on his chest, and he finally pushes it off or whatever, and Alfred's like, "Now, Master Bruce, why do we fall down? So we can learn to pick ourselves back up."
So this is stuff I like talking about. Batman.
Yeah, Batman.
Yeah, that was and that's an important lesson, and I think if while you're going through these checklists and you see other people struggling and you realize that I think it's easier to help other people when you realize the stuff that you're taking for granted too.
Yeah.
If you show more appreciation for all the good things that are happening to you in your life, you can be appreciative of some of the bad things because it forces your hand to make a difference. I think when you start
forms the mold who you are.
Yeah, exactly. I think when you appreciate more that stuff in your own life, it's easier to help other people too. It's easier to be that person who sits there in front of them and goes, "Okay, what are we going to do? What are we going to do about it now?"
It's important to reach out, but it also is important not to be too proud to reach out for your own sake too.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like dude, I've been struggling with this. Can you please just come and like sit and talk to me?
Yeah. Or sometimes all it takes is one good ear to listen and possibly change someone's day, life, whatever it could be.
You just need to be a Spartan of kindness.
Wow, I like how that ties in. But no, it's that. I mean, these, as you guys will see as we go over more of Jon's blog posts, it's why he called it the Spartans of Kindness. It's not just being kind; it's a whole slew of things that play into one, one overarching goal, and that's just to be, the best person that you can.
It's like a lifestyle or like a mindset.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can't say you don't feel good when you help someone else through that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it gives you butterflies.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see here. Go down. Whoa, loves me just like me. I count. Harmonies and birds and the trees. Just remember some of this. That's a good line too. So the very last paragraph. So next time you tie your shoes, zip up your coat, or listen to the sweet harmony of birds up in the trees, just remember someone is praying each day for something you and I take for granted. I like that because I've always been someone who can put myself in other people's shoes. I can feel what other people feel, and I take great pride in that. My ability to empathize with somebody.
Empathy.
And the reason that he says that and whatnot, and or at least how I see it is, it's a humbling experience. It's you how often, if I ask you right now, how often do you think about all the things that other people don't have?
I don't know.
Have you ever?
Well, yeah, every once in a while. Like I don't know. Like I have volunteered at like food kitchens and stuff, and that's when you see a family of like 4 or 6, you know, like a couple with like little kids, and they're like so thankful to get like this sell by date
Canned food,
like a few days old of like jalapeno ground beef.
Yeah.
And they're just like so happy that they had ground beef. It's like, wow, that makes it's amazing, just like what you take for granted.
Oh, yeah,
And
absolutely.
You skipped a whole point, our whole big
Did
part
I?
right here. My limbs are camouflaged, so most cannot see. I think that little line
It's important.
It's very important.
I fat thumbed scrolling through my phone. My bad.
Well, yeah, you'd have to do that.
Yeah,
you have to like rotate your arm around your lat, and you're like, okay, where?
This
are
is
we
I honestly need a new phone too. This thing is horrible.
It's that Samsung. You need to
No.
Yeah,
I won't fault the Samsung, but I will be getting an iPhone. I've been instructed by family and loved ones that I am not allowed to get another Samsung. People don't like my text messages, my long-winded text messages coming in like a puzzle.
Yeah. You're joining the dark side.
Yeah, I guess so. I had one once. Someone stole it from me. And
really?
That's when I got this. Yep. They were not being a Spartan of Kindness. They stole my first iPhone. It made me very upset. But the line about camouflaging, I think a lot of people, I would say most people, anything that, you know, they're struggling with, they try to hide. I would say one of the most refreshing things to me is that over the years I've been able to surround myself with, in my opinion, the best friend group that I could ever hope to be a part of or have, even in the future.
Yeah, you need your nerd herd.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And we're not even all nerds. Most of us are. I'll say most of us are. But some of them, you know, it's just all good people. And I mean, you know, to Joe Schmo down the street, obviously you don't want to come off as, you know, oh, woe is me, or something's wrong, or blah, 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 blah. But if you have a good community, I mean, and that's what for anybody listening, that's what we're here for too. You know, it's good to talk about that kind of stuff. It it massively helps people through the stuff that they're struggling with. And you shouldn't feel like you have to hide that stuff. And if you're surrounded by good people, or people that you trust, or even anybody that's just a good listener.
Well, yeah, even reach out to us.
Yeah, absolutely.
You, Jon, myself. It would be.
I mean, we're here to help you guys. The whole point of this podcast is, you know, to motivate and, you know, propel people to do the things that they want to do, and talk about the things that they love doing, and help you guys
and have everybody's back. I think a lot of people, instead of having each other's back, sometimes we turn our back on each other, either in fear, camouflaging it from your own insecurities. So if you have that strong group and you can be yourself, then if somebody knocks you down and tells you some jaded lie, of, well, you're just too kind or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. And the other thing that I kind of want to bring up with that too, just because you don't suffer the same plight as someone else doesn't mean you can't relate to them. Doesn't mean that you can't not. Don't ever be like, oh, well, I can't go talk to this guy because I haven't lost an arm, or I don't have this, or I don't have that, or I can't do this. And I mean, everybody can listen to their own capacity. Everybody has the ability to, whatever extent it is, to empathize with someone else and help them through it. So never think that you should never think that you're too good or not good enough to be able to converse with someone.
I think ultimately we get so caught up on our differences,
Hmm.
and that could be because of social media or whatever. You see constantly what everybody else has and you don't have. But ultimately, if you cut yourself and I cut myself, we both bleed red.
Hmm.
Not you. You don't bleed orange and I bleed blue. We bleed red.
Hmm.
There's like a common thread of humanity that's within us,
Hmm.
and we're all trying to figure this stuff out together and individually.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
And obviously it's better to figure things out with people like-minded people that, just want to see everybody succeed and do better.
yeah,
Um, and that's,
even if you fall short of, like, I feel like some people like fall short because they're trying to camouflage their own thing and they're
yeah.
not like supporting other people, but you still have the capacity to make that change, to
Oh,
change yourself.
well,
Like nobody's a lost cause, or
no,
don't think
absolutely
you're too
not.
deep of like, oh, I've been an ass to too many people that I can't
You'd be
change.
surprised how many, as much as people say they don't
Mhm.
believe people can change, you'd be surprised to see how many people actually accept the change
Yeah,
when it happens within someone.
yeah,
I mean, I think people don't realize, you know, or don't think about this is that, if you reach out that helping hand,
hmm,
how many hands end up reaching back to help you when you
yeah, yeah,
really need it. So, um, the overall arching, Spartans of Kindness, I think, come into a big play here of an overarching message for this specific one is do your best to put yourself in other people's shoes.
yeah. Empathize
And it's not
and
now that's the thing too. It's not easy for people to
oh
empathize.
no,
Everybody has varying degrees of it. Some people, like myself, empathize a lot more than others, but everybody has that base ability to see the other side, see the glass half full instead of half empty, and to do that, to put yourself in another person's shoes, to just
hmm,
baseline understand where they're coming from. Maybe not
yeah,
so
yeah,
much help, but try to attempting showing someone and attempting to put yourself in their shoes and understand the stuff that they're going through. And it can mean so much, if not just as much as actually being able to help somebody and make a difference.
yeah. I think shoot, I had a good point and now it just
I just talked all over you.
I
It
feel
happens.
I feel like a little bird.
Yeah.
Right?
Right out.
Ah, shoot.
What was I saying? What were you saying?
Well, you were talking about how hard it is to empathize. I think that sometimes when people like empathy can almost be turned into like almost like too like not the right type of empathy. You see this often in professors.
Hmm.
Like, oh well, I did this, so it was hard for me, so it should be hard for you.
Yeah.
So like that can almost be like a closed off mindset.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. You got to keep an open mind when trying to put yourself in someone else's shoes.
Yeah.
There's definitely two sides of that
Mhm.
coin where it can then be projected off onto someone to make them, you want to feel what the other people,
You want
you want to feel what the other person is feeling. You don't want to make them feel like you do or how
yeah.
you did.
Yeah, you want the ultimate good for them,
Mhm.
and realizing that their like toolbox of expertise
Mm.
and gifts and talents are different from you, and like you can empathize to a point
Yeah.
because
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Um I think we made it all the way through the blog post, right?
yeah,
So you have any overarching closing messages you want to get out to the listeners?
I think just reach out to the people that you are thankful for, and maybe even write a little list of things that
Ooh, I think
you're
that's a great
thankful
idea.
for.
Yeah. I mean, it's not something you got to do on a daily basis,
Mhm.
but I do this when I become conscious of it.
Yeah,
I see someone, struggling at the gym or struggling when, I'm out grocery shopping or out with my family, and then it hits me like, oh well, I have this, I
Right.
have that. Yeah, even if you just do it and go through that little checklist of things that you take for granted or that you should really do it.
Yeah.
Go to the person and be like, hey, I really care about you. I care that you're in my life, and I appreciate all that you do for me.
Yeah.
If it's a thing, or it's an aspect of your life, just the fact that you consciously at any point have thought about how lucky you are to have that is good.
Even I heard a theology professor at Walsh once say that oftentimes a lot of people never pray unless they need something. They're like, oh God, please help me get an A.
Yeah.
But he said you should pray and thank God or whoever you believe in. Thank them for everything you have.
Yeah.
Your loved ones, your talents,
your health,
the 2 feet you walk on. And that can take you a long way, especially if you work on that just like a little bit each day. Just like write like one new thing that you're thankful for. Even just waking up in the morning.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, my grandpa like went to bed one day, never woke up, and that's something you take for granted.
But it's also, like I said in the beginning, it's not something that you think of until it hits you in the face.
Yeah.
So yeah, when you're conscious of it, if you want to make it, like a daily routine, that's good. I think that's something healthy to, it's a good exercise to keep yourself grounded and keep yourself in a mental state that you are then able to look at other people and empathize and put yourself in their place. And then even if it's the ability to, feel what other people are feeling and empathize with them and whatnot, even if you don't act on it or do anything, it's good.
Yeah.
People are so jaded and don't, are so caught up in themselves.
Caught up on what they don't have.
Yeah. And I think if you can just do that, even from a distance, be like, wow, I'm really grateful for this. And I hope that person, gets through what they're going through, or, I hope that regardless of what you see them going through, that they're still living the life that they want to, and you can put yourself in that situation, and you're making yourself a better, more kind, more generous and helping person. And that's all, us here at the Apex Podcast, and obviously Jon, which is why we had him on, and the things that he talks about. We all we're in a dark time where it's way easier for people to get on each other about all the negative stuff than it is to jump on and help raise people up and, better their spirits and, just
you have
bring
to be a warrior.
Yeah.
A Spartan.
Yep. Absolutely. That was fun.
Yeah, I enjoyed this.
I guess what time are we at?
Let me see.
Obviously, like the last one, these go a lot quicker, but we experimenting with a couple different types of podcasts.
It says 1 hour and 42 minutes, but that doesn't seem right.
Unless you're recording way beforehand.
Maybe. I don't know.
Or maybe we just talk that. Time flies when you're having fun.
That'd be cool.
But yeah, these are obviously shorter, and they're little tidbits and stuff that we want to dabble with because, in the future, we want to bring you guys a lot more content. We want to open up these are little hints that I'm kind of giving away, but we want to, open up the podcast as a whole, as a whole business, to some other, avenues that hopefully we can bring in new guests or bring guests into other realms of the podcast, that
different genres.
Yes, exactly. So, keep an eye out for definitely more of these blog posts. Keep an eye out for, increased amount of contents here in the following weeks, months, and whatnot. I specifically have been working tediously in the shadows on some really cool stuff. I'm going to start making some more, social media posts about this, and prepping and, launching the thing that I've been working on. I'm really excited. So keep an eye out for that. If you guys have any questions or you like this format of, the other two reviewing the third's blog posts, if you want me or Jake to start writing some of our own blog posts, let us know.
Yeah.
The more feedback we get, the more
we're able to tailor it to your needs.
yeah, to what you guys want,
Yeah.
and we want to bring you the content that you enjoy listening to. If you guys like this idea, we've obviously have a ton of the blog posts in our archive. If you guys want to, I had the idea of having people vote on it. So if you guys specifically like a blog post, we're dabbling with setting up a system to have you guys as the listeners vote on which ones that
Mm-hmm.
you guys like the most, and then then that puts them in an order of necessity for us to review them and get you guys the ones that you want our opinions on. So if you like that idea as well, send us messages over social media and whatnot, or email us and let us know. We want to bring you guys what you guys want to hear us talk about.
Yeah, and if you want to support our movement, visit the Patreon site at www.patreon.com/ is it the Apex Podcast?
Correct.
And also, the only other thing that we ask is if you enjoyed this, you enjoyed our message, just share it with a friend. Maybe that can help pull them through that dark time that they have, or help inspire them to become a Spartan of kindness.
100%. The other thing I want to mention is that obviously the Patreon is a monthly subscription, based donation to us and whatnot that helps us bring any little bit helps.
Yeah.
As well as I believe recently, in the last few, Jan's brought up that we brought up.
Is it Venmo?
Yeah, it's a one-time Venmo or PayPal, something.
I think it's Venmo.
One-time Venmo for the Apex Podcast, which is just singular donations that if you guys feel it out of the kindness of your guys' heart to help us out, it does help tremendously. It helps us, afford the equipment that we're using, be able to travel and do cool interviews like we did in Indiana. And other than that, we thank you guys for the support so far, and we hope we keep bringing you content that you want to listen to.
And we would also love to thank Mr. Jon Deitz for writing this wonderful blog post.
Absolutely.
And we look forward to dissecting more of his blog posts and see almost like what we can view that's crawling around in his mind.
And the last thing I'm going to say is, like we both already mentioned, if you guys ever need anybody to talk to, anything you want to get off your chest, opinions, we're always here to listen.
Yeah, just reach out.
Yep, reach out to us. All of our social medias are, I think, plastered all over any of our posts, or on the Apex Podcast Facebook, or on our website. It's very easy to contact us and get a hold of us. We'd love to talk to you if you guys want to talk to us. So we're here for you. Plain and simple, we're here for you through the podcast, and we can be here for you as individuals if that's what you guys need from us.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thank you.
No, well, thank you. That was a great. I had a blast.
Yeah, it was fun.
Good.
It's like a different cadence than you and Jan.
It's different. I mean, hopefully you guys will like it. It'll switch it up a little bit. But me and Jake will be back to. Actually, I'm kind of excited to do Jan's. We should just pick them apart.
Yeah, we should just do another one.
We're gonna sit here and we're just gonna rip Jan's blog posts apart.
Our butts will fall asleep from these hard chairs.
3-hour blog post rip down of Jan. No, Jan's a really good writer, and I'm excited to go over some of his stuff when he gets back from his super fancy vacation.
Yeah, with the Air Force.
Yeah. We'll talk to you guys later. We hope you have whatever you're listening, great day, great night, great morning. Until next time.
You forgot afternoon, but goodbye.